I never thought the smell of vanilla frosting could make my heart ache. But here I am, standing in my kitchen, sunlight slipping through the blinds, catching the shimmer of pink icing on my daughter's birthday cake. Lily's turning 10 today. She's humming in the living room, stringing glitter ribbons across the wall, her little hands careful, deliberate, just like mine. She doesn't remember the other cake, the one she never got to taste. And maybe that's a mercy. I smooth the last swirl of frosting, the one shaped like a rose, and whisper to myself, perfect. Because today has to be perfect. Then my phone buzzes. A message lights up the screen, a name I haven't seen in years. Dad. He's asking if he and Ethan can come by for Lily's birthday. My chest tightens. My brother's name burns like an old scar. For a long moment, I just stare at the message. The frosting knife slips in my hand, leaving a faint pink streak across the counter, like a wound that never quite healed. 10 years. 10 birthdays. And now, suddenly, they want back in. Lily calls from the living room, her voice bright, innocent. Mom, can Grandpa come to my party? I force a smile she can't see. Maybe, sweetheart, I say softly. But some people don't know how to behave around cake. Pause. A mix of irony and ache. And just like that, the memory comes rushing back. The laughter, the shock, the moment everything in our family cracked wide open. It was supposed to be the happiest day of her life. 7 candles. A princess-themed cake. A dozen of her little friends giggling in the backyard. I remember how proud I felt watching Lily twirl in her pink dress, curls bouncing, cheeks flushed with pure joy. She'd been dreaming about that cake for weeks. A tall vanilla dream layered with strawberry cream, dotted with edible pearls. Her dream cake. Ethan arrived late, of course. My brother always did, with that swagger that said the world owed him an apology for existing. Dad followed behind him, patting his back like he was still the golden boy. Hey, Ratch, Ethan said, smirking.
Wow.
You really went all out for this. I ignored the jab. I'd learned to. Lily's special, I said quietly. She deserves it. When it came time to sing, Lily stood on a chair, eyes squeezed shut, making her wish. Everyone clapped. She leaned forward, ready to blow the candles. And then, small pause, voice thickened slightly. Ethan reached out, laughed, and shoved her face straight into the cake. Time stopped. The kids froze. For a heartbeat, all I heard was Lily's muffled sob, frosting in her hair, on her eyelashes, her tiny hands trembling. Ethan laughed louder. Come on, it's just a joke. I lunged forward, grabbing Lily, wiping frosting from her face as tears streamed down her cheeks. Ethan, what the hell is wrong with you? I shouted. Dad's voice cut through the tension, sharp, dismissive. Rachel, enough. He was just playing. Don't make a scene. I stared at him, my own father, waiting for him to see what he'd just offended. But all he did was shake his head and mutter, "You've always been too sensitive." Long pause, quiet, trembling tone. Lily buried her face against me. Her shoulders shook, her little voice breaking. Mommy, why did Uncle do that? Did I do something bad? I looked at her, frosting streaked, humiliated, and something inside me cracked clean in two. That was the moment I knew. This family wasn't safe for her. Or for me. That night, after everyone left, I scraped the ruined cake into the trash. A piece of pink frosting clung to my hand, soft, sticky, stubborn, like the last trace of who I used to be. Whispered, resolute. And I promised Lily someday we'd have another cake. A dream cake no one could ever ruin again. Leaving my father's house that night felt like walking away from a version of myself I didn't recognize anymore. I packed what little we had, a suitcase of Lily's clothes, a few kitchen utensils, and one broken cake topper that read, "Dream Big." We moved into a tiny apartment above a laundromat, the kind that smelled like detergent and rain. Lily's bed was an air mattress at first, mine was a couch. But we were free, and that meant more than comfort ever could. Soft chuckle. In the mornings, I'd walk her to school with a thermos of instant coffee in one hand and her lunchbox in the other. Then I'd head to the bakery 2 blocks down, not as an owner, just a clerk cleaning counters and boxing pastries. But every day, while frosting cupcakes and refilling display trays, I'd watch the head baker work her magic. Her name was Marianne, late 50s, graying hair, and a heart that smelled like cinnamon and wisdom. One night, she found me sketching cake designs on napkins during my break. "You've got a steady hand, Rachel," she said softly. "Don't waste it cleaning up after other people's dreams." Those words stuck. She started teaching me how to temper chocolate, how to level sponge layers, how to pipe roses that looked like they could breathe. Months passed. My fingers learned the rhythm of creation, my heart the patience of healing. Sometimes Lily would sit in the corner after school, doing homework while I practiced frosting techniques. Her laughter filled the shop, and for the first time in years, I didn't flinch when I heard it. We entered a small-town baking contest a year later. I used the last of my savings for ingredients. When they called my name as the winner, Lily screamed louder than anyone. Her eyes sparkled, that same shimmer I'd seen the day of her ruined birthday cake. That night, as we carried the trophy home, she whispered, "Mom, you make dream cakes now." Emotional pause, voice softens. Something in me unlocked. From then on, I saved every extra dollar, took night classes in business basics, and learned how to build a brand. I called it Luna and Lily's, a name that felt like hope, half moonlight, half love. By the time I turned 35, our little kitchen had become a full bakery, warm, glowing, smelling of sugar and second chances. We posted photos of our cakes online. Orders poured in. People loved the story. A mother and daughter baking dreams together. But I never shared one detail. I never told the world, or my family, what had inspired that first cake. Quiet, resolute tone. Some stories are better saved for the day the past comes knocking. And deep down, I knew that day would come. The text came on a Thursday morning. "Dad's in town. He'd like to stop by, Ethan, too." I stared at it for a long time. Part of me wanted to delete it, pretend it never came. But another part, the stronger one, whispered it's time. So I said yes. That Saturday, Luna and Lily's gleamed like a dream. The glass doors sparkled, the marble counters shone, and the air smelled of vanilla, caramel, and success. Sunlight streamed across the sign on the front window, "Luna and Lily's Dream Cakes," the golden letters catching every ray. Lily, now 17, arranged cupcakes in neat rows. Her confidence radiated. She had my hands, but her own fire. "Are you nervous, Mom?" she asked with a teasing smile. I smiled back.
"No, sweetheart.
I've been waiting 10 years for this." When the door chime finally rang, I looked up and there they were. My father, older now, leaning on his cane. Ethan beside him, a little heavier, his expression still dripping with the same arrogance I remembered. Their eyes scanned the bakery, the polished cases, the photos of Lily and me, the awards on the wall. Dad blinked. This is yours." I wiped my hands on my apron. "All mine. And hers." I nodded toward Lily. Ethan gave a low whistle. "Didn't think you had it in you, sis." His voice still made my stomach tighten, but not from fear this time. "Yeah," I said evenly. "Neither did you." Dad looked around, his expression caught between pride and disbelief. "You've done well, Rachel. We had no idea." I stepped closer, my tone calm, but laced with steel. "You wouldn't. You stopped looking a long time ago." For a moment, silence. The kind that makes the air heavier. Ethan tried to chuckle it off.
"Come on, Ratch.
Don't still be mad about that cake thing. We were kids." Sharp pause. Voice drops, steady and cold. "You were 25, Ethan. She was 7. His smirk faded. Lily looked up from the counter, her voice steady, curious. "What cake thing?" I exhaled slowly. The memory flashed like lightning behind my eyes. The laughter, the frosting, her tears. "You don't need to remember it, sweetheart," I said softly. "Because that moment made us who we are today." Dad cleared his throat. Rachel, let's not drag up the past. We're here to make peace. Peace, I echoed, almost to myself. Then I gestured around the room. This is peace. This bakery, this life, they came from the silence you left behind. I led them to the back room, a private area I designed for special clients. On the center table sat a cake. 3 tiers, frosted in white and pink, crowned with a single gold topper. Dream big. I watched Dad's eyes widen. This looks familiar, he murmured. It should, I said quietly. It's the same design Lily had 10 years ago. Ethan looked uncomfortable. You remade it? I nodded. Only this time. No one's going to ruin it. Brief silence. Only faint background music playing. Dad's shoulders slumped. Rachel.
I was wrong that day.
I should have defended you both. His voice trembled, old pride cracking under guilt. Ethan shifted awkwardly. I'm sorry, kid, he said to Lily, eyes down. She smiled gently, stronger than I'd ever been at her age. It's okay, Uncle Ethan. Mom already fixed it. Warm piano builds, soft, hopeful. I looked at them, every ounce of pain finally melting into calm. That day, you let him shove my daughter's face into her dream cake, I said quietly. Now I own the dreams. For once, neither of them had a word to say. Ethan sat across the table, staring at his untouched slice of cake. Dad leaned on his cane, his eyes glistening with regret. For the first time in my life, neither of them was talking, and I wasn't afraid of their silence. I poured coffee into 3 mugs and placed them gently on the table. The act felt almost ceremonial, a peace offering, but one I controlled. Look, Ethan started, his voice uncertain. We messed up, okay? It's not like I meant to hurt her. I nodded slowly. I believe that. But what matters isn't intent. It's what you do after you realize the damage. He frowned. So, what, you want me to grovel? No, I said softly, meeting his eyes. I want you to see. I turned my phone toward him, a video Lily had made last month for a school project. In it, she talked about her dream to study culinary arts and expand Luna and Lily's across the country. Her voice was bright, confident, untouched by bitterness. She forgave you a long time ago, I said quietly. But forgiveness doesn't erase lessons. It builds boundaries. I shifted my gaze to Dad. And as for you, you always taught us that family sticks together. But that day, you chose silence over protection. You broke your own rule. His hands trembled around the mug. You're right. I failed you. I know, I said gently. But you don't have to keep failing. Soft piano. Hopeful tone builds. I reached into my bag and pulled out 2 envelopes. One had Ethan written in bold cursive. The other, Dad. These aren't punishments, I said. They're chances. Ethan opened his first. Inside was an invitation, a request, really, to volunteer at Luna and Lily's community program that teaches baking to underprivileged kids. If you want to make things right, I said, help other children feel celebrated. No teasing, no cruelty, just joy. Be the reason a kid smiles on their birthday. Ethan swallowed hard, his jaw tightening, but then he nodded.
Yeah, okay.
I can do that. Dad opened his. His letter was shorter, 1 sentence, handwritten. Come watch Lily perform next month. He looked up, confused. Perform? Her piano recital, I said softly. She's been practicing for months. She still hopes you'll show up, even after everything. The old man blinked fast, clearing the moisture from his eyes. I'll be there. Good, I said. Because showing up is what started breaking us apart, and what can start mending us again. Slight pause. Voiceover shifts to warm resolve. In that moment, I realized power didn't mean control. It meant choice. The choice to break the cycle or repeat it. The choice to protect without punishing. I stood, smoothing my apron. I don't need an apology tour, I said. Just effort. For once, let's rebuild something that lasts. Dad rose slowly, reaching for my hand. His grip was frail but sincere. Ethan stayed seated, quiet, but when Lily walked over and offered him a cupcake, he smiled. A real one. Soft instrumental swells. Calm triumph in tone. For the first time in years, I felt peace settle over us. Awkward, fragile, but real. And this time it was mine to keep. Weeks passed. The air felt lighter somehow, like the house itself had exhaled after holding its breath for years. Dad started coming by every Sunday morning. He'd sit at the counter with his coffee while Lily decorated cupcakes, his eyes softening every time she laughed. He didn't say much, but his presence spoke louder than words. Ethan, true to his word, showed up at our community classes. At first, the kids didn't know what to make of the tall, awkward man who burned the first batch of brownies. But when he started showing them how to swirl icing just right, after hours of practice, they adored him. One little boy hugged him after class and said, "You make it look fun." Ethan cried that day. He didn't tell me, but I saw it in his red eyes the next time he came by. People change when they're given a reason to. And somehow, through the flour and laughter and frosting dust, our family began to stitch itself back together, uneven, imperfect, but mending. Soft narration tone. Nostalgic warmth. On Lily's next birthday, I baked a cake bigger than any before. White tears, gold details, soft pink roses curling like hope. She helped me frost it, steady hands and bright eyes. When the candles were lit, she looked at me and said, "Mom, can Grandpa and Uncle Ethan come over?" I smiled. They're already here. We gathered around the table, all of us, and for the first time, no one flinched when Lily leaned in to blow her candles. No one laughed at her joy. No one ruined her dream. When she took the first bite, she giggled and smeared a little frosting on my nose. Everyone laughed, even me. And that sound, that laughter that once broke us, now healed us. Music swells softly, voiceover slows, tender and strong. Later that night, after the guests left, I found myself alone in the kitchen. The candle wax had melted into soft puddles, and the faint scent of sugar hung in the air. On the counter sat the same cake topper I'd kept all these years, Dream Big. I placed it carefully into a small glass box, next to our first store photo and Lily's recital ticket. A reminder of everything we lost, and everything we built. I touched the glass, smiling. Some dreams get ruined, I whispered. Others rise again, sweeter, stronger, impossible to break. Final pause. Voiceover turns cinematic, resolute. Because some families shatter you, and some teach you how to rebuild. Mine did both, and I baked the rest into something beautiful.